This week, we are at the 12th Ironman European Championship in Frankfurt, Germany. Follow Ironman World Champion Pete Jacobs going for the crown in Frankfurt. And meet the reigning European champion and the 70.3 world champion. It's the 12th edition of the Ironman European Championship in Frankfurt, Germany. The most prestigious race in Europe. Some people consider Frankfurt to be the second most important Ironman race in the world after Hawaii. Race director Kai Walter is expecting nothing less than an exceptional race.
Hier kommt jetzt wirklich die Elite auf.
The elite of the sport will gather in Frankfurt, and I think it'll be a spectacular race. Fast, dramatic. Nobody will give anything away for free out there.
Frankfurt hat diese Radstrecke.
The bike course goes through a populated region of 1.2 million people and connects the high-rise buildings of Frankfurt with the picturesque landscape of the Wetterau. The contrasts make this course so special.
Also die Marathonstrecke führt durch das Herz der Stadt.
The marathon run course lies in the heart of the city of Frankfurt, and we run along the River Main. And with all those bridges connecting the city with the south side, for the spectators it is unmatched to see their athletes 20 times. More than 2,600 athletes from 55 nations will face the challenge of the Frankfurter Sparkasse Ironman European Championship.
The finish line
is one of the biggest and most emotional. We are in the heart of Frankfurt, the Römer. The gentle ascent at the Römerberg, the finish line, 10,000 people bringing every finisher home. I get goosebumps right away. The reigning world champion Pete Jacobs is in Frankfurt. The 31-year-old winner of Kona wants to compare himself with the best European athletes in their quest for the European crown. His passion for the sport started a long time ago.
My mum was the first person in our family to do triathlon. My older brother and sister did a couple when they were young. And then when I was a teenager, I did maybe just one or two a year. Yeah, when I did my first Ironman when I was 20 years old, I felt that I would be able to win an Ironman. And then pretty much I turned professional because I believed I could win the World Championships.
Pete's streak of podium positions continued over the last years in Ironman Australia and in Hawaii, and every time he managed to step up.
It was a very long road and a long journey and a really steep learning curve before I was able to achieve my dream. Crossing the finish line and winning was just pure joy. It was the dream come true.
With a tight schedule, Pete is not yet at the level he was on in Kona. Sponsor and appearance obligations linked to his new status have stolen some of his training time.
Since winning the World Championships, you know, there's a lot more signings to do, a lot more interviews, and yeah, more jobs. It's good though, it's nice to feel useful.
These new commitments haven't affected Jacob's timeline, who prefers to compete rather than piling on the training hours.
Which some people think I'm training a lot less, but in a long period, I'm having more, or I'm still having a good amount of days. Everybody else still trains more than I do, but you know, I train more than they think.
On Sunday, Pete is most likely to lead the swim, as it is his favorite discipline.
I just swam since I was little. I learned to swim when I was about 3 years old and swam all my life in swim squads, and you know, I work on my technique a lot.
Pete maybe doesn't need lots of training hours, but having his wife Jamie next to him when he travels is key to his well-being and his success.
Particularly in an Ironman, you need a lot of support. We often train together, we go to the pool together, we go for easy jogs and easy rides.
I'm #1 supporter.
Jamie Jacobs also caught the iron bug and has raced several races as an age grouper.
Jamie understands the things that I have to put myself through.
On Sunday, Pete's wife will be on the sideline, going through the usual emotional roller coaster.
It's a little bit of anxiety and empathy, because the level of pain these guys put themselves through, and when they're hobbling afterwards, you feel for them.
It's time to get the gear in place in transition. The world champ will face fierce competition in less than 12 hours, and he likes it.
I love the fact that it has, the titles of all the major Ironman races and 70.3 races for the last 12 months. I'm here to try and test the waters a little bit on the bike and just maybe see that I can get closer on the bike and maybe give them a little bit of something to think about.
And hopefully get more insight to repeat his childhood dream in Kona later this year. Early in the morning at Langener Waldsee, pro and amateur athletes from more than 55 countries prepare for the long day ahead. Barely 5 minutes to go. The start of the swim course is at the public swimming area of the Langener Waldsee. It's a two-loop swim with an Australian exit after 2.1 kilometers before completing the final 3.8 kilometers. "6:45 a.m. and the race is on for the pros. The journey begins. Everybody is fighting in the frenzied waters for a good position. The second wave has now started. The rest of the 2,600 athletes are in the Langener Waldsee. It hasn't taken long for the lead men to string things out. Michael Raelert is in front, right now with a group trailing behind. Leading the way out of the water is Harry Wiltshire with a swim split of 46 minutes, but he's got a ton of company. Wiltshire is followed by Christian Ritter and Daniel Hawksworth, as well as Andy Beckerer and the reigning world champ Pete Jacobs. Just after the men, leading woman Jodie Swallow exits the water. By a large group, Wiltshire and Raelert are off onto the bike course. Jacobs calmly readies himself to bike to the front of the race. Coming up after the break, can Van Hoeneke catch Jacobs on the bike? Germany. In the bike race, world champ Pete Jacobs is leading the way, chased by a strong to spur the athletes on. Pete Jacobs is feeling somebody breathing down his neck. It's the reigning champion. With him, Eneko Janos on his wheel. Marina van Hoeneke moves into the front, passing Jacobs. Will the 2012 champion from Belgium dominate this race on the bike as he did last year? Marina van Hoeneke appears to be ready to stamp his authority on this race. He is extending his lead over Jacobs and the chase group of up to 2 minutes 26 seconds. ITU champion Daniel Unger overtakes Michael Raelert and is trying to push the speed of the group. Van Hoeneke flying over the course at an average speed of 41 kilometers an hour. But is it enough to hold off Jacobs? Andy Beckerer and Pete Jacobs taking turns doing the work, but still not able to dent Van Hoeneke's lead. At 88k, Marina. The leader is now off the bike and running through transition. He clocked a bike split of 4 hours each. The chase group now reached transition led by Andy Beckerer. Jan Raphael, Jacobs and Eneko Janos are right behind him. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, good. Happy about that. Feel good. Hang on.
And off onto the run he is. Group out of T2 and has got about a 50-meter gap on Raphael. Jacobs, Zeebrugge and Beckerer is now in the lead. Pete Jacobs continues to look smooth and relaxed as he runs along in third place. The world champ passes Jan Raphael to take second place, but continues to lose time to Janos. However, suddenly, the wheels seem to come off for Jacobs. He slows to a walk. The world champ seems to be paying the price for the hard pace early on. Van Unica has also started to walk the heat also. Janos is close to the finish. He is floating towards the line. Janos is pushing to try and get to the line in under 8 hours. A spectacular race for Eneko Janos from Spain. In a time of 7 hours, 59 minutes and 58 seconds and a marathon of 2:44:12. From Hannover, Germany is on his way to a safe runner-up finish. Rafael finishes in place. The big man from the Netherlands was nearly sprinting the last kilometers for the final podium position. What a season for Eneko Janos, adding the title of European champion to his wins this year. Pedersen takes home the crown in Frankfurt, an impressive sub-9-hour race in her first official Ironman event. Swallow also broke 9 hours, with Germany's Christine Müller taking a well-deserved third. Last year's champion finishes in 19th. The finish earns him valuable Kona points. Pete Jacobs also struggled, but isn't too disappointed.
It happens when you haven't put in the amount of training that I should have, just because I couldn't. Time frames are from injuries and traveling. I did what I could, so I'm happy with how the rest of the race went. With his finish in Frankfurt, Sebastian Kienle moved up to the head of the Kona Pro rankings again. Eneko Janos' victory in Frankfurt earned him a second place. Pete Jacobs activated his Kona ranking by finishing a full Ironman and is now in 7th. In the women's standings, Jodie Swallow climbed up to 7th place with her strong run-up finish at the European Championship. Next week, highlights of the Ironman 70.3 Norway in the charming Norwegian town of Haugesund. And we spend time with one of the favorites in the ladies' field, Michelle Vesterby of Denmark.